In this episode of OG55, we have a very special guest with us today. We got Mr. King Park in the house. We are talking all about the value of the Magic Key. We're talking Lightning Lane. We're talking that Fast and Furious coaster over at Universal Hollywood. I also got George the Italiano with me up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Like I said, we're talking Magic Keys, Lightning Lane, Fast and Furious. But before we dive in, first time on the channel, Mr. King Park. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. King Park. How you doing?
No problem. No problem. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big, huge fan of the show, and I'm just excited to talk theme parks and nerd out with you all and just, vibe out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Of course, I'm primarily on Instagram and Threads, MrKingPark. And for those of you who may have known Mr. King Coaster, I'm also still a coaster enthusiast. You can find me on Facebook as well, Mr. King Park. Most platforms, yeah.
There, Mr. King Park, check him out all platforms, and I'll be and I'll be posting all the social media stuff in the description, so make it easy for everyone at home. So absolutely, and again, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And Mr. Italiano, long time no see, George. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, it's always a good time being on the channel, talking theme parks, studios, content, all that good jazz. But if everyone would like to find me on social media, you could do so on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. Okay, so let's dive into our first topic, which is Magic Keys, right? So Disney's been making a lot of changes with the key holder thing. I mean, just the name alone is new, right? It used to be annual passes, and they've added reservations, all this other stuff to it. And now even the highest pass, which is what the Inspire, has like blackout dates and stuff, which was unheard of years ago. Like usually the top pass never has blackout dates. So they made a lot of changes over the years. The prices have gone up. I will start with you, Mr. King Park. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Like, what's like, where are you at in regards to the value statement right now for Magic Keys? I mean, is it kind of worth it, or is Disney sort of chipping away at that value?
Honestly, I don't know where to start with the Magic Keys, man. I feel like, okay, so I was born and raised here in Southern California. We went to Disneyland all the time growing up. And you'd go, it'd be an event, you'd see some shows, you'd see some rides, and it'd be a great experience. We had plenty of entertainment back in the day. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Lots of character meet and greets. And I just feel like now, I go into the parks, and it's hard to say, but I do it for content purposes. I go in, and it's hard for me to enjoy a lot of the magic because of a lot of the changes that have happened and taken place in Disney. And one of them being, a lot of the prices, in this day and age have gone up, and we're seeing prices increase, but we're not seeing anything else added to the magic, so to speak, and I hope I'm not getting too controversial. Y'all just met me.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. You're spot on, because look, I understand Disney's kind of dilemma with, we have a huge local fan base out here in California, mm-hmm. And by the way, shout out for being another Californian.
Woke up looking for the broccoli.
It's always good to have Californians on the show. So no, but yeah, I see Disney's perspective with that, right? Like, okay, there's a huge local pool to kind of pull from, and there are a lot of key holders, and there's always been a lot of annual pass holders, right? So I understand the need to sort of mitigate that somehow, because there's a huge amount of demand, right? And these are physical places, and you only have so much space, and I understand that. But I agree. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to raise the prices, right, consistently. And now we're talking like that Inspire key is like, it's like this close to $2,000. It's getting up there, you know? And if you're gonna charge that much, you have to, even if you're going to turn on and off the key sales, the people that do have the keys, they should be getting more bang for their buck based on this pricing. You know, it's crazy to me that you're paying more now than ever, but now you have more restrictions. You know, now you have reservations, you got blackout dates for the highest pass and all kinds of stuff, and it's wild to me. It's absolutely wild to me. What are your thoughts on that, George? I know you're a new California. You've been down here so many times, but what are your thoughts on the keys and the value and what we get out of it right now?
So for me, like I see both sides of the spectrum. Like it probably would never stop me from being a Magic Key holder. That's just my Disney bias side. Because I go to Disneyland a lot. Before becoming a Cali local, I would, come down like 2 to 3 weeks at a time and just do Disneyland straight, where it covers my Magic Key for like half of the year.
See, you just messed up though, George. You just told Disney you're going to get it no matter what. They just added 3 more blackout dates to your pass, bro. There it is. Dude.
And here's the thing, and really, actually, I'm part of the problem, because we always say, on the channel that, vote with your wallet, vote, to say, hey, you know what, we're going to take a stand. And, if everyone stops, that would send the message to Disney to say, you know what, okay, we gotta configure something up. But Disney's not going to do that, because it's like, why? People are still buying into it. We're still making money. We're still capitalizing on it. Why should we break a sweat in trying to change these Magic Keys, especially after the fact of the whole debacle that they went through with the lawsuit with the Dream Key, with the fine print that they kind of messed up on with mentioning about the blackout dates and what have you. And they still kept the blackout dates for the Inspire Key. They didn't change that. They just changed the wording on the contract, which is kind of strange. That with that being like a high tier Magic Key of the Inspire, especially having a Universal Studios Hollywood Platinum Pass, you have no blackout dates. You get a HHN ticket, which is Halloween Horror Nights. Both me and Abby went to Eve, which was Universal's New Year's Eve party. It was included with the pass. And after 3:00, you get an express lane pass for each attraction. And that alone right there is bangs for your buck. And the Universal pass is like 3/4 less than what Disneyland's Magic Key is. So I wish that Disney would incorporate some extra perks. If they were to say for like Inspire keys and Believe keys, after say 2 p.m., you get a free lightning lane for the rides that you would want to go on, and they would utilize that. But for everyone else, you could pay for the lightning lane if you want. That, to me, that would be worth getting a Magic Key. Well, as I said, it's worth a Magic Key anyway, because I go a lot, so that really doesn't stop me. But I do feel, if you actually look at the like what's included with each Magic Key, the Inspire Key and the Believe Key are not that far of a difference from them. There's only a difference between, I think, like the merchandise and the food and beverage percentage that you get off. And I think with the parking, I think that's it. I think other than that, the blackout dates aren't really that different. I mean, yeah, you get a couple more Saturdays and Sundays with the Inspire Key, but is that really enough to say, okay, that's almost like $2,000 worth?
I know it's a pretty penny for sure. Mr. King, what are some things that, like, okay, you're in charge, right? You can make all these changes to the key program, and what would you kind of add or tinker with in terms of like to kind of add value to, like, the current key program, if you could?
Definitely. So do you know, when we had annual passes, there was the SoCal pass, just the solid SoCal annual pass. that gave you, you know, some dates in the summer here or there, and then it was like some weekends, similar inside to like the Enchant Key. But then they came out with the Flex, like right after they cut off the SoCal Pass. I think the Flex Pass needs to come back.
Yeah.
I think that would add a little bit of value, because not only were you able to reserve and keep the sort of reservation system that they have going on now, but you could actually, if you know a day was open, it necessarily wasn't blocked out. You know, you still had those good to go days that you could reserve during the summer. So just being able to have a little bit of that flexibility throughout the year on, and maybe if you had different tiers, hey, you know what? We're blocking you all out June, July, but you know, because you're an Enchant Key or a Believe Key, you can actually like reserve these if we don't have anyone in the parks that day, which is never at Disney. But
absolutely.
But you know, it'll just add a little bit more of flexibility, because, like you said, like they do need to mitigate the issue. It's a locals park, but I also think that the reservation system needs to be tweaked somehow, some way, because it's not satisfying all of your customers. You know, I think another big thing for me would be possibly trying to add benefits, like George said, that Universal has. I have a SeaWorld Platinum Pass, you know?
Nice.
SeaWorld gives you like preferred parking on everything. You get front of the line access some of these times, you know, and then you also get discounts on drinks and alcohol and food too within their chain. And you know what? It's, you know, Universal Parks and Resorts. Sorry about that. United Parks and Resorts with SeaWorld. But the Platinum Pass will get you into 11 of their parks across the country. And, you know, that's still cheaper than like, paying for some of these Magic Keys, you know?
Yeah, you know, you're right. You're right. And Universal, I have a Universal Pass. I actually just upgraded to the gold, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. But they're so much cheaper, and they treat their pass holders really, really well. They do, you know, and they have a really good program. And I get it. They don't have the demand, I don't think, quite yet that Disney has, and they don't have to deal with a lot of that necessarily yet. I think they will eventually, though, because they're on the come up for sure. But like, but yeah, I feel like there's more of that kind of like company appreciation towards these annual pass holders at Universal. I think Disney, I think the problem with Disney is I think that they've had so much demand for so many years that they've sort of taken it for granted a little bit. You know, these are loyal fans that they're always going to be here, right, George? You're always going to get a pass.
Always gonna get a pass.
and I think that sort of has created an environment for Disney where they feel like they don't really have to try.
I will always get a pass, and that gives Disney a pass. You know,
there you
go. But speaking of like reservations, obviously we're not going to see them be removed completely anytime soon, because that was the whole point of them making the different tier Magic Keys, so they can kind of, you know, finagle to say, okay, well, these dates are blocked out, these dates are not, and what have you. But I feel like with the reservation system, it's kind of a psychological kind of bearing on us as the guests, because when you have a hyped up demand to say, okay, well, if you get this key, you can go during this time, but you can't go during this time if you own this key. Where if they just opened everything up the way that it used to be before the pandemic, people are like, okay, well, the dates are open. That's fine. That's cool. But it's the notion of saying these dates are not available with X, Y, and Z, but you can get it with A, B, and C. But so that tells us as guests, oh, we want to go on those dates, because why would they block them out to everybody else? But with this special pass, with this special access, you know, you can get in, you know, with these dates. So it's definitely a psychological kind of warfare, if you will.
Well,
to Disney guests in this reservation system.
Well, yeah, there is. There's a lot that you tapped into with that, George. The psychological element's a huge thing right now, especially for the key holders, because we talked about it before the show, where you were on the phone, George, with a cast member about your key, your Magic Key. I won't get into details right now, but you were on the phone with the cast member, and they were talking about like, you know, like the keys being sold out, right? Or they stop, you know, selling them. Well, that is psychological, kind of like a psychological tactic in a lot of ways, because it kind of like prevents people, or I wouldn't say prevents, but it creates a situation with a lot of people where they're like almost scared to not renew.
Yeah.
Because if you don't renew, you don't know the next time they're going to reopen the sales again. So it's like, okay, I'm not super happy with the pricing and like what I'm getting in regards to the pricing. But if I don't renew it, when am I going to be able to get my pass again?
That's literally what's going on now with me.
See, it's kind of unfair, right? It's unfair because it's like, you know, it's like you should be. I don't know. I feel like they kind of like it's an unfair tactic. It's kind of dirty in a way, I think. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't give you even if they were to like create a time of the year. Like, okay, from April until September, that's when the keys are on sale every year. Okay, cool. You can plan around that. But when it's guessing games and they're just like, okay, next week.
And that's why I'm sorry. I love Disney. As I said, I'm a Disney bias, but I call them out on it. Like every time they use the term to me of, when they're sold out right now, but when they go, I'm like, no, there's no such that you can't sell completely out of magic keys. What, you have to go to a magical locksmith and have them made before you put them back online? No, it's like you guys have a button. You have an on button and an off button. When you want them online, you press on. When you want them to close off, you hit the off button. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And then the reservation system is interesting because I feel like with Disney, there's really no benefit for the guest with that. I think that's all on Disney's business end, where like obviously it's not making the parks any less crowded because they're still very crowded. So they're not mitigating it through the reservation system, at least.
Well, look, even this last for the weeks of the holidays, you know, right. Christmas leading up to New Year's, every single Magic Key for the last 2 weeks has been blocked out. And yet the parks, as you were saying, OG, that the parks are still booming. That tells you every single person in that park is a regular base ticket holder.
It's wild. Mr. King, I want to ask you, do you think they're ever going to get rid of this reservation system, or are we stuck with it for a long time?
You know what? I think we're stuck with it, man. And I was thinking about it because I'm like in Florida, and I know Walt Disney World is a completely different beast. But are there reservations in Florida right now for annual pass holders?
As of right now, there is not. Now they still have their tier systems, like they have the Incredipass,
right,
Pirate Pass, Pixie Pass. But the reason why they still kept the tiers is because the Incredipass is the only pass that everybody can purchase. The other passes turned into for Florida residents.
Gotcha. So then it seems like here, because of our demographic, it's like they're trying to, I'm sorry to say, like weed people out of Disney.
I think so. I think so.
It's really sad because there are a lot of people, of course, who enjoy going to the parks. And I know you mentioned this before, but having to be like, oh, I have to reserve. I have people in my family who, you know, they don't know how to use the reservation system, or like they're not versed in theme park, you know, news. And I'm like, well, this is what you have to do, and this is how you do it, and you should actually probably do this 3 months before, you know. So just Disney has made it so hard for people just to walk in, the average person walk in and just enjoy themselves without not just reserving a park visit, but you also have to reserve dining, and then you have to reserve, you know, your spot shows, and so it just becomes a reservation on top of a reservation. I think we're stuck with it because the demand is high for Disney. You know, the future's bright.
Pretty soon we're going to need a reservations to go into the bathroom to wipe our asses.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we have a friend of the channel. Her name is her name is San Fran Nan, right, George? Nice. Lovely young lady. We had her on, actually. She's like a relationship coach, and she does like yoga and stuff. But we do for the members, we do like a lot of non-Disney stuff and just have fun and talk about like dating and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. Right. But we had her on, and we talked all kinds of stuff. she'd never been to Disneyland before. She's from the Bay Area. Yeah. And so Nan, she's never been to Disney, and we were all talking, and she's like, I'm taking my husband and our little kid to Disney for the first time. Like, what was it like? It was like in a week or something, wasn't it, George, or something like that?
It was like in a week. And the first thing that we said was, did you make a reservation? A reservation for what? And we were like, oh, yeah, I would jump on that and make your park reservations, because it doesn't matter if you're available or not if there's no park reservations available for that day. Because we also know another person who was going with her. I think it was like her nephew or her cousins or something.
Is that Sammy? Sammy, or?
Yeah. So I was so So her and I were messaging back and forth, and I said, "How? When are you going to Disneyland?" And she said, "Oh, we just got down to the hotel. We're going tomorrow." And I said, "Did you buy your tickets yet?" And she said, "No, not yet. We were going to do it at the gate." And I said, "So that means you didn't make a park reservation?" She said, "No. Were we supposed to?" And I went, "Oh, if you're going tomorrow." And I actually went on the calendar. And I actually messaged her back, and I told her, I said, I hate to tell you this, there's no availability.
Oh, no.
And they had already booked their hotel. They were already there.
Yeah, and then they ended up going to Knott's, right, or something.
They ended up going to Knott's instead. Yeah.
See,
so I'm sorry, see, you lost out on like some customers.
Right.
It's like for normie, they don't know how to do that kind of stuff.
No, but Knott's ain't bad though. I love Knott's. Knott's is really cool. They got great food over there and stuff. But it's just a shame that Disney is turning away people that want to go,
right?
Because of all that stuff. You know, like she would have spent her money at Disney. She would have bought merch. She would have, had a whole day there. And nope, the reservation system prevented that, and now Knott's got her money, which. It's wild. But Mr. King, I want to ask you, because clearly, there's a lot of what's the word for it? Like hurdles, right? We talked about it with like reservations and things like that. One of the things too lately that they've added post pandemic is this like this paid skip the line, like paid fast pass, right? Genie, now it's like just lightning lane or whatever.
We don't even know what this thing is called anymore.
Oh, wait.
It's wild. I don't see. I'm a vibes over rides kind of guy. Like as George, like I'm just like I go to the parks. I go like on one thing. I just walk around and eat pretty much, But so I don't really utilize the lightning lane stuff at all, But I mean, if you're a family coming from, Japan or like Ohio or wherever, and you got to plan this stuff, it's got to be crazy because now you have to do the reservation thing. But on top of that, now you got to worry about all this lightning lane stuff. What are your thoughts on that, King? Like, how do you what is going on with this? Because before it was just so easy. You walk up to the kiosk, you put your pass in there, it shoots out a ticket, you're good to go. Now it's all in the app, and there's Lightning Lane Premier, right? And then there's Lightning Lane. It's wild. But go ahead. I'll let you kind of
first, the name Lightning Lane, I'm like, is it? I don't know. Like for the average person, I don't understand. Who would understand what a lightning lane is? So therefore, it's not like, oh, we're gonna go through the fast lane or like, fast pass or something. But I get it. If they offer this service, you have to do a little bit more research and read up on a lot of the different express offerings that they have. So when I looked, I saw, like you said, like multi-lane lightning pass, and then there's also the single use lightning lane, and then they have the premium feature, where you can go and access it by paying $400. So it's certain days. It's hard, because look, if I'm going to spend my money, I definitely want to make sure, if I was that family that visited Disney, once in a while, I want to make sure I'm getting on all of the things, I also look at the parks and just, I'll do the single rider line. If anything is over like 30 minutes, I'm like, oh, I'll go another day or it's, another time. But it's hard. It's really hard, especially when you get there and let's say you did pay all this money to go through and buy Lightning Lane, the Lightning Lane service. You're seeing people who are still actually waiting in those lightning lanes. So it's getting you a little closer, but you still have to wait, you know? And so I think their verbiage needs to be portrayed a little bit to their customers when it comes to the lightning lanes.
100%, 100%. And the other thing too is like, it was interesting because they tried to do the Universal thing. Like Universal has a great express pass, which we tried for HHN, which is like, I was like singing the praises of this express pass after HHN. It was beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
you definitely needed there.
yes, we did. We needed it. And it was like so perfect. It was like, we were walking on everything. It was awesome. But did he try to do that with this Lightning Lane Premier thing, right? The $400, I think it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that would work, right? If they got rid of the old thing. The problem is they're keeping the multi-lane like $40 thing, and then they're adding into the mix this Premier thing. So now you're paying $400 and you're waiting in the same line as the $40 people.
Oh yeah, that's not.
But that's
It's
why
a mess.
if you want to have like a $400 upcharge, and they're going to end up raising the magic keys anyway, attach that 400 onto the magic key anyway, and then you could just say for the whole year, you know, for just maybe like the Inspire key holders,
Yeah.
you know, again, after maybe like 1-2 o'clock.
Value.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
I don't get it.
Just
Because
tap it onto
honestly,
the.
I recently, being out there on New Year's Eve, I utilized my express lane for the Mummy. And you talk about express, you talk about lightning, Disney calling it lightning lane. I didn't even have to wait 2 seconds. Literally, the time was just walking through the queue just to get to the load area. And boom, I was on the ride, literally in 2 seconds.
That's crazy. I was surprised Universal didn't have a team member pick you up and carry you and take you there, you know?
I know.
that would have been exceptional. Yeah, no, that Express Pass is amazing. King, have you been to HHN over here in Hollywood? Have you done that?
Yeah, you know what? My very first job there was I was a scare actor. So I did
Oh, nice.
nights. Let's see, I'm dating myself. 2016.
How was that? That's kind of that's a cool experience, I would imagine.
Oh, it was dope. I loved it. It was cool because I did. I was like Pazuzu in one of the mazes at one point when they did Exorcist that year, and then I was a purger. That was really fun, and just to kind of go out and scare some people. I'm a big horror buff, so
yeah, that's awesome.
Like,
that's
right
awesome. That is incredible. We went this last Halloween season with, I went with this guy, his girlfriend Abby, and our friend Michael Webber, and we were down there. And here's the thing, Mr. King. Like, it was kind of crazy because I'm not really into horror or Halloween even, right? So I was just going for like my family, you know, George and Eva and Abby, and so I was just going for, yes, and just hanging out, you know. So that's why I went. It impressed me because I seriously haven't been to an HHN since I was like in high school, like long time ago. That's a long time ago for me, and George, right? I mean, we were there and I was having a ball. I was cracking up. It was so fun. Going through those mazes, getting freaked out. We're all in this together, basically, right? And we're all like just joking around with each other, getting scared. I had such a good time. And I turned to these guys and I'm like, you know what? We got to do this again next year. I'm sold. I am 1,000% sold on this event. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So really, really, really cool stuff. But I don't know, George, that was your first time, I think, ever, right?
That was my first time doing any kind of HHN because I haven't done it in Orlando or out here. So this was my first time. So I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I had like an idea, you know, of like, as I haven't been to like a scare house. Like I did like a generic one back in Pittsburgh, like back in 2005. Now I'm dating myself.
Wow. Yeah. So it's wild. They really do a great job with that stuff. But the Express Pass, the only time I ever used it was for that HHN event, and it was really well done.
Because we had the Express Pass for the rides, but then we also had the highest tier for the HHN ticket, which gave us the I think it was the pink bands where they have like separate lines where you have the standby line, which literally was like 2 to 3 hours just to go into one scare house, which that's crazy. I would never do that. Which I think the reason also too why we enjoyed it so much was because we had the highest tier for HHN. Because I guarantee you, if I waited 3 hours in line for the weekend, oh man, I would have been all pissed out. I love the Weeknd's music, but his haunted house fucking
well, and that's part. And see that what you're saying though, that's why it's important for Disney to kind of get their act together with a lot of this stuff, because what you're saying, George, is absolutely right. Where the smoothness of the Express Pass enhanced our experience.
Yes.
If we didn't have that smooth, Express Pass situation, it would have been a different. We would have saw the mazes differently even. So when Disney's going in here and they're doing lightning lanes and all this different stuff, it does impact how you feel about even the attractions. Because if you're in this line and you just paid all this money and you're mad because like you're waiting even though you paid for it, that you're going into this ride with a bad mood.
And when you're doing lightning lane, sometimes you can't even reserve the attraction that you want to go to at that time. So then it's also more research because you have to plan ahead to make sure that you can do that or stack, so it just becomes a whole thing.
It's a whole thing, 100%. But speaking of Universal Studios Hollywood, let's pivot to that Fast and Furious coaster. I was there not too long ago with the Italiano. I think it was like a couple weeks ago. It looks incredible. I am not really a huge coaster person, but that track, even without the cars on it,
it's a beast. Like, yeah, to take it. I mean, the fact that it's on like perched on a hill, just gives it that wow factor. But just as you were going to say, the track itself is massive. Like,
they took Universal was really smart with this design, and I'll tell you why. Because they took usually I think most people consider the escalator stuff to be kind of like annoying a little bit, right? You have to go down and up and the whole thing, right? They took an element that most people kind of find a little bit of an annoyance, and they turned it into a plus. Well, we're going to take this thing that we have here at this park, this giant hill, and we're going to lean into that. And we're going to build this coaster on this hill, have it go around the escalators. Yeah. I mean, and the thing that's so fun about it is it's so Universal. Like Universal is so like loud about, like they're so like loud and like, this feels like that. It's very on brand for Universal. It's very on brand for the franchise too, that they're utilizing for the theming or whatever, Fast and Furious. I think this is going to put Universal on the map in terms of coaster enthusiasts. I think this is going to be a big deal. It's going to change Universal Hollywood forever. But Mr. King, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm definitely a coaster enthusiast at the heart of this. And when this was announced, I was literally losing my shit. Like, I promise you. And the fact that, like, just having experience in the parks at Universal, especially Universal Studios Hollywood, I always said the one thing that park was missing was a major thrill coaster. I love Potter. I'm a Slytherin. And, as soon as, they built that, I'm like, oh, wow, we have theming. And now you have Super Nintendo World. And I just love the projection that park is going in, so to speak. I actually have not been to Super Nintendo World yet. I'm actually saving it to get a pass so I can go when the new coaster opens. So It's already working. The marketing's working.
It's already working.
And I love the Intamin manufacturer. Velocicoaster is my favorite coaster ever on this planet. I don't know if you've had the chance to get there. I know. Coaster. You have, George, right?
I have. I tell you what, that thing is a son of a bitch in the most best way ever. Because they said that it goes faster as you go. And a lot of times when you hear that, a lot of people, you think it's exaggeration when they say, oh, we're building the highest, steepest, fastest roller coaster. I'm like, okay, it's that typical as you go, it goes faster. No, when you go speeding through like that launch and then it shoots you up the hill, I was like, wow, I thought this thing, because it right out the gate, it starts you off fast. And then you add another, 20 miles an hour, like halfway through. I mean, that thing is like, and they said that this is going to be like the Velocicoaster in a sense, but it's actually going to be a little bit faster, which I'm excited for it because I am a thrill junkie. I love roller coasters. Like I want us to be able to get in line, and we have to sign accidental waivers for this thing.
There you go. There you go. George, the Velocicoaster put hair on your chest, huh? I can see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been on that. I haven't actually, full disclosure, I haven't been to Universal Orlando yet, but that is going to change in September. We are going in September.
Nice.
And I can't wait. We're going to do the Epic Universe thing and all the Universal stuff. So it'll be kind of fun. We actually, Mr. King, we were going to do it. I went for my first trip with this guy at Walt Disney World in July of 2023. It was like this all-encompassing, like, Orlando vacation. We had Disney World planned. We had the cruise line. Nice. And then we were going to do some Universal. The problem is that Universal on the schedule came after the cruise line, and we spent a lot of money on alcohol. So Universal had to go because I had a pass for an annual pass for Disney World. So we just knocked out Animal Kingdom and Epcot again because we were broke. We didn't know how to do, but I am definitely going again. We're going to do it in September. I definitely want to check it out. And
when you charge those extra separate perks on a cruise to your stateroom, you're like, oh yeah, just charge it to the stateroom, and then at the end of checkout, you get the bill. Oh yeah, you feel it afterwards.
My heart dropped, dude. I could feel my heartbeat in my pinky toe. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, that's how much it is? Oh, okay. That changes things, It was wild. Have you done the Disney Cruise Line, Mr. King, at all, or?
No, I've actually never been on a cruise before, but I do want to go on a Disney cruise. There's also another cruise line that has a coaster. I'm not sure which cruise. I'm not sure if it's Royal Caribbean.
Don't quote me. It's either Royal or Norwegian.
Yeah. So there's an actual coaster on the on the cruise ship.
That's crazy. That's wild. I think you would like it. I was kind of blown away by it. I knew I was going to enjoy it. But it surpassed my expectations just because I just love chilling on chilling out on the balcony, watching the water and the sea life and stuff. I thought it was beautiful. It's a really cool experience. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out at least once. Just watch that alcohol bill because it does creep up on you. It does creep up on you.
But a previous video that possibly West Coast ports, possibly.
The what? I'm sorry.
For Disney Cruise Line.
Yes.
They haven't made any official announcement yet, but it's been kind of talked about in the Disney community because there's going to be 4 more cruise ships after the ones that are already scheduled to open. Like they just set sail on the Disney Treasure. Next year will be the Disney Destiny and the Disney Adventure. And then there's going to be the Japan cruise ship that OLC is going to be building, which I can't imagine what that Disney ship is going to look like. And then after that, they're going to do 4 ones.
To go.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that cruise ship will probably transform into like a mecha transformer and just walk on land and then just go right on.
The OLC, Oriental Land Company, is amazing. They do amazing stuff. So that one they'll have a full-blown Fantasyland dark ride on that ship or something. I just know it.
But the 4 other new Disney cruise ships that are going to come online after that, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them does get not a permanent, because cruise ships, they move, but I think Disney would be looking to make a permanent port in California because they can then kind of have that promotional marketing like they do down in Florida with a land and sea vacation. So for people going to Disneyland, you could then tie it into a Disney cruise vacation as well.
Yeah, 100%. Now to kind of go back to this Fast and Furious thing, it's interesting because the cars are going to rotate, kind of similar to a Cosmic Rewind, which that ride was crazy. Like I went on that thing, and that's a crazy experience, right? It feels really different when it turns like that and all that. I'm curious your thoughts on that, Mr. King. This thing is going to be way more intense, I think, than Cosmic Rewind. That's going to be wild, though, right? Like you're turning on that hill and you're going down, and this is going to be wild.
Oh yeah, like I've been telling people for the longest that this is going to be a game changer for California. Last summer, I went on my honeymoon in Spain, and
congratulations, by the way. Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. We got a chance to go to Portaventura, and they have a coaster there that was built by Intamin. I mean, allegedly, Intamin is building this thing at Universal Studios Hollywood, but we all know it's Intamin. But it's called Uncharted at Portaventura, and it's their new multi-dimensional coaster, and those trains actually rotate. So they have spikes, they had near vertical drops, it would go backwards, and that was just inside of a sound stage. So to do that on this scale outside on a hill, this is going to be a game changer for not just like their brand, but like all of the like theme parks here who are trying to, fit in with, find new thrills, like Six Flags and other parks, because it's going to be themed. We don't know the theming yet. And also you have, Universal right now is doing a lot of great building within their creative department to make sure like you're experiencing the attractions now. So with the launches, I believe there's 2 launches there. It's going to spin. There's a stall. It's not going to let up. Just like Velocicoaster, you can see this. And I haven't been there in person. I've been watching a fellow friends coverage like Theme Park Wizard and Theme Park Obsession. Thank you.
Yes.
But, I definitely, I'm excited. I'm so ready for this. I think they could even have this thing testing like by the end of this year, as fast as they're building this. I wish other companies would do that.
I know. It's going up fast, and it's impressive in person. I gotta say, it's really impressive. Like the way the track kind of goes over in and around that hill and the escalators. It just looks really cool. I can't, even without the cars on it, right, George? We were talking about it when we were there. It was like, I was like, this is actually really, really cool. I mean, you put the cars on there, it's going to be absolutely insane, dude.
For which I don't know if Universal confirmed it, but aren't they doing like different sections of the train, so to speak, as it being different models of cars?
Yeah, I saw that too. I definitely saw that. Not sure if it's confirmed either, but that's going to be sick.
That would be really cool.
I'm like, add some onboard audio.
I mean, already I kind of see it as if Velocicoaster and Cosmic Rewind had a couple extra drinks and basically had a love chat. That's basically what Fast and Furious is.
There we go, dude. There we go. That's going to be nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Element after element after element.
It just keeps going. Yeah. That's going to be wild. It's going to be a game change. It's going to be a game change for sure. Yeah. They're doing a lot of big things over there. Theme Park Wizard, again, shout out to him. He's been reporting, and he broke the news actually about the permit for this Universal Studios Hollywood hotel that they're building out there in front of the globe. They're building this beautiful hotel, which is going to kind of like be the entrance to sort of the whole thing. I think that's really a smart idea. They're kind of doing that Disneyland Paris thing, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But MrKingPark, first time on the channel, definitely want to have you back on. It was really, really fun. Appreciate you. If you could just remind everybody where they could find everyone, everyone can find you on social media.
Thank you so much, folks. It's always been a pleasure. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at MrKingPark. You can also find me on Facebook at MrKingPark. I do post to YouTube occasionally, so you can find me there right here at MrKingPark. Yeah.
There, MrKingPark. Make sure you check it out on Threads, Instagram, YouTube occasionally. And I'll be linking everything down below. So I'll make everything real easy. So everyone at home, make sure you show all the love. and the Italiano. If you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, Mr. Californian.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go. Speaking of California, it's been like about a week now almost since you've been down here. You're doing everything's cool.
Yeah.
California's treating you good.
Oh, yeah. I fit in like a glove here. Like you would think that, honestly, I was like born and raised here.
You don't miss that Pennsylvania, like, January weather?
I moved out at the right time because they're literally going through a polar vortex right now.
Oh, jeez, that doesn't sound fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it going into the 20s. And
I'm good, dude.
The only thing that I will keep from the East Coast moving over here is my Pennsylvanian East Coast accent. My downtown.
Yeah. You definitely have that. When you say like town and stuff, it's very PA. Well, thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next time, see you later.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.